Hello everybody, Prowl here. I have an incredibly important video here for you today. We're actually going to go over all of the items that you're probably leaving behind that you shouldn't be. If you've played Hytale for a little bit, you probably have items that you've left behind and you've later realized like, oh man, I really wish I'd been collecting this all along. I've had that happen to me to the point where I just spent the last like 2 streams, probably 15-16 hours searching some of these items down, and I don't want you to make the same mistake. There are a lot of items on this list, including some super rare ones, so I want to go over those here with you so you can save yourself a little bit of headache and time and collect these things as you play the game. Now, if you enjoy these types of videos, please click the like button to show YouTube that you liked the video. Also, subscribe to the channel. I come up with videos like this and we go over this kind of stuff in stream all the time. So if you subscribe, you won't miss that stuff. And make sure you follow on Twitch at Prowl8413. And lastly, use code PROWL8413 if you're buying Hytale, recommending a friend or family member buy Hytale, or if you purchase anything from any of the multiple PvP and other servers that are popping up around there. I am partnered with a lot of them, so try using code PROWL8413 there as well. Now we're gonna hop into the video and the number one thing, but before we do, I want to tell you about a special partner that I have called Sparked Host that you can get your Hytale servers from. Today's video sponsor, Sparked Host, is a top-tier server hosting company that I've partnered with for years with my several Minecraft servers, and they now do Hytale servers as well. While playing with friends is pretty easy in Hytale, they can only play when you're on and playing with them. By hosting a server, you can easily add their usernames to the whitelist, allowing as many friends as you want to play in your world at a time. Also, with how Hytale works, dividing even your single player game between a server and the game client, using a server host will take that load off of your PC, giving you better performance while playing the game alone or with friends. Sparked has a lot of options to make managing your server extremely easy. You can schedule automatic backups to protect your world from issues that can come up from playing an early access game, and schedule restarts or other commands via the scheduler system. They have made it just as easy as using mods in single player. With direct integration with CurseForge, you can browse or search mods on the CurseForge site and install them with the click of a button, even while the server is live. After you restart the server, the newly installed mods will be accessible for everyone to enjoy and experience. So to get your new server today, just use my link in the description below to take you to the Sparked website. Select the location you want your new server and select the server tier that you want. The crawler tier will likely be appropriate for just yourself and maybe one other player, while the golem tier will handle a few people with slightly better performance. Hytale at this moment does use a decent amount of RAM, so personally, if it's more than just you, I would recommend the Kraken tier for the best performance. And to squeeze even more performance out of your server, there are already performance mods on CurseForge that can help keep the game running smooth, regardless of what everyone on the server is doing. And lastly, the thing I've enjoyed maybe the most about Sparked is their great customer support. If you ever have any questions or issues, just let them know, and they are quick to respond and handle anything that may come up. So click the link in the description below and use code PROWL at checkout to get 20% off your first month. So number one on the list is all of the different leathers that are in the game. You use leather quite a bit. You use it for bench upgrades, you use it for crafting armor and maybe weapons too, I can't remember, but it's used quite a bit for quite a lot of different things. And there's 3 different types of leather that you can get. There is light hide, which will then turn into light leather. There's medium hide and heavy hide that will turn into medium and heavy leather. So to get these hides, it's mostly easy to figure out what drops what. Almost every passive mob, like mobs that don't fight you back, will drop light hide. Cows and I think chickens, pigs, foxes, I think, sheep, pretty much anything that's passive should drop you light hide. Most mid-sized hostile mobs, things like lions and wolves, will drop medium hides. There may be a couple of passive mobs that drop medium hides, but it's a very rare thing. So pay attention to what the different mobs drop. And then heavy hides are dropped by usually your bigger hostile mobs. Things like bears, for example, will drop it. Also, the moss horn will drop heavy hides, and there's going to be a few different variants of this in the different zones that exist in the world as well that will drop the heavy hides. My advice to you is this: The light hides, you can kind of get that somewhat regularly. In the very early game, you probably want to farm up a lot of light hides just to have them, maybe 50 or so. But after that, for the most part, it's around your world. You're not going to struggle to find it, especially if you're staying in the Zone 1 Emerald Wilds zone. It's all over the place. The medium and heavy hides, though, for quite a while, you're going to want to kill every wolf, every bear, every mob that you find that drops these hides. When you walk by it, you're going to want to kill it because it costs a lot of hides to upgrade some of the benches and to get through the different tiers of armor as you upgrade, and you're going to want to have a lot of it. So every single chance that you get it all the way up through the late game. You probably want to accumulate at least 100 of each hide type, if not more. And in case you didn't know, the hides get turned into leather with the tanning rack. They did just buff it. They made it 10 seconds faster per hide that it tans into leather. But you may still want to get a couple of those going, or at least upgrade it so it can hold all 3 different hide types at once and keep that thing going as often as possible. Next is going to be the skeletons in your world. Kill them every time you have a chance, at least for quite a while, because again, they have an important drop called linen, and linen is used pretty often in crafting recipes in the game as well. It's pretty common to need to use linen, especially a lot of it early on in the game. So you're going to want to kill all the skeletons that you see to get the linens. They are the main, I think the only mob that drops linen, and sometimes you can find it in chests. So anytime you have an opportunity to kill a skeleton to get linen, you're going to want to do it. Also, sticking with skeletons for a moment, there are 2 other types of linens, or scraps, I guess is what they're called. You have shadow weave scraps and you have cinder cloth scraps. The shadow weave scraps are basically the type of linen that is dropped off of the Outlanders, which are found in Zone 3, the Whisperfrost Frontiers. This is the colder zones of the colder zone and the colder biomes of the game. And then you have the cinder cloth scraps. These are dropped off of the skeletons and off of the mages in Zone 4, the devastated lands. So whenever you come across either one of those guys, you're going to want to get those scraps as often as you can. Again, they are used quite commonly. Next, this one I'm going to do in game myself because finding the footage for it is going to be a little difficult, but it is crops. So you can see I have quite the nice garden going right here where I'm doing a little self challenge and trying to get 20 of every eternal seed. Spoiler alert, it's really hard to do. It takes a long time. But when you're going through the early to mid game, especially, and honestly, kind of even to the late game for a little bit as well, unless you get a big garden like this, whenever you see crops around the world, and you will see them, you'll see maybe every crop or almost every crop in various zones around the world. Pick the crops when you see them. I think I actually see one over here that I don't know if they like grow back periodically or I just missed these, but like you'll see them just like this right here. When you find them, pick them because A, you will get that crop type. You see I have wheat right here. B, you'll get essence of life. And essence of life is used quite a bit for a few different things, like trading with Quebecs for really nice things and for progressing your farming bench right here. So whenever you see those crops, pick them. And sometimes, if you're lucky, the crops will drop seeds or maybe even eternal seeds that will keep growing. Eternal seeds, by the way, when you pick the crop, it will regrow itself. They are so nice. That's why I'm trying to get 20 of each of them. Next on the list is essence, and essence is dropped by killing mobs. That's where you're going to find it, except for the essence of life we already showed that you get from picking crops. So when it comes to the different essences in the game, you're going to get them from fighting and killing certain mobs that are specific to certain zones in the game. So you'll get void essence, for example, from killing mobs that appear and spawn at nighttime. You'll get essence of ice when you kill specific mobs that are in the Whisperfrost Frontiers, the colder biomes in the game. And you're going to want to save and get all of this that you can, especially early on. And some of them are more important than others. For example, essence of ice is a huge pain in the butt to get unless you can find a skeleton camp and you go back to it frequently to farm it. It's a real pain. You use it a decent amount for several different things. So you're going to want to get it as often as you can every single time you go into an ice biome, and you're going to find times where you just need to go farm it. So just be prepared for that. It'll happen. But anytime you have a chance to get essences, get them. Never throw them out. Never, ever, 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 ever throw them out. And I'll show you this here in game really quick. The farmer's workbench can take essence of life and it can compress it into greater essence of life. You're going to want to do this because as you progress in the game, you're going to get a lot of this stuff, and greater essence of life is used for a few different things as well. Next on the list is void hearts. I get asked about this one all the time in my live streams. Where do I get the void hearts? Well, they're not that hard to get, honestly. You just got to know what to do. Stay awake during the night, don't sleep, and just run around. And there's, I think, 2 mobs specifically to drop it. And I don't know their exact names, but one of them is the flying, scary octopus looking dude that like spawns those little like creatures that crawl around to try to attack you. They drop the void hearts. And it also the like void knight looking dude, the guy with the big sword, he drops it as well. So whenever you're traveling at night or you just stay awake for a night cycle or 2, kill them. You're probably going to need a total of a few dozen of these void hearts. I can't remember if there's any recipes that continually use it, but you're going to want to at least have a few dozen of these for some of your upgrades. Next on the list is venom sacks. Now, the venom sacks are used for a few different upgrades and a few different crafting things that you do throughout the game. So you're going to want to have them. I've had to target farm them a couple times because I didn't know this early on. The venom sacks are going to be found on mobs that are venomous. So think things like spiders, scorpions, snakes, and those stupid flying wasp things that are in the desert. I hate them. They're the worst mob in the game outside of the lava toad guy. He's the worst, but they're the second worst. They're very annoying. But whenever you come across them, probably through the mid game, you're going to want to kill them. Now, as I've gotten into the end game, I haven't needed them as much. So there may come a time where you can just stop worrying about them. I think I have over 100 right now that have stockpiled, so I'm not really trying to get them anymore. But up through the early and mid game, you're definitely going to want to kill them whenever you have the chance to get the venom sacks. Next on our list is the sturdy chitin. These guys are not super hard to get, but they're annoying to have to go get when you need them if you don't already have them. They're found in Zone 2, the Howling Sands. This zone, honestly, it has so many things that are really nice to get, and the sturdy chitins is one of them. So the sturdy chitins are typically going to be found from mobs like that, like large armadillo looking creature. Some of the bugs, a lot of the bugs actually, maybe even all the bugs that are there will drop them. And I believe there's a couple of other things in the zone that will drop them as well. So whenever you're running around in Zone 2, honestly, like you probably just want to kill everything. And you're going to want at least a few dozen of these sturdy chitins. I don't know of any like continual use for them after a few of the upgrades that you go through. But due to a point I'm going to give you at the very end, you're still probably going to want to collect a decent amount of them. Okay, so now's the part of the video where we're starting to get into some of the more important ones. You're definitely going to want to listen up here. This next one on the list is super important. The various colored crystals that exist around the world. These crystals are found pretty much in all zones in various different areas. There's various different colors of them. I'll even show you here in game really quick. I don't know how easy it's going to be for me to find some footage for this, but these guys right here, usually you find the solid crystals and these little spores coming off of it, and you break those, and then that breaks down into the crystal shards. And then sometimes you just find little spores sticking up in different areas. Usually these things are kind of color coded. The red crystals will more be in the devastated lands. The blue crystals will be more in the Whisper Frost frontiers. The yellow crystals will be more in the Howling Sands, but they are kind of like mixed in between, and you can kind of find a little bit of them everywhere. You're going to want to get a lot of these. You're going to want to get probably at least a few hundred of each one. If you plan on progressing your farm bench all the way, that is one reason why you're going to want several of these of the different colors. And then also you can craft the crystal blocks out of them and use them as a decorative piece as well. Right now, there's no renewable way to get these that I know of. I don't think it exists yet. I've given some suggestions to the Hytale team. We'll see if it's something that they consider doing or maybe come up with their own way. Regardless, anytime you see a chance to get these until you have at least 300 I would keep getting it, and you probably want to get even more than that. Again, because there isn't not a renewable way to get it, they're scattered randomly across the world. You do not want to have to go on a scavenger hunt for these when you need them. You would definitely prefer to already have them. Keep your crystals that you get 100% of the time. This next one on the list, honestly, is probably the biggest one. I should have saved it to the end, but I didn't. I'm going to give it to you now. And this is, I'm going to call them the 9 plants, okay? This took me 16 plus hours to find everything that I needed for this. And I still don't have everything, but I have the most important part. So there are 3 plants from 3 different families. There's the Azure family of plants, the Azure kelp, the Azure fern, and the Azure spore. Then you have the Storm family that has the thistle, the spore, and the sapling. And then the Blood family, which has the rose, the spore, and the leaves. These are critically important for progressing your farming bench and for making potions. I don't think they have a lot of uses outside of that, at least not yet, but you are going to need them, and they are not easy to find. I'm going to give you some advice on where to find them. I may not know all the exact perfect answers, but I can give a lot of the answers to you right now, and then you can fill in some of my knowledge gaps from other places, or come in and ask me in chat on stream, and we'll try our best to help you out. Okay, but first of all, here's why you want to find them and what you want to do. When you find them, you want to break them with your pickaxe, or you can pick them at first and then bring them back to your base and then place them and then break them. When you do that, you will get like petals from them, but that's not what we're looking for. If you look here in my farming bench right here, and I scroll down to the bottom, you see I have 9 seeds. I found recipes for these seeds by breaking these plants. They were not easy to get. Some of them were. It's a random chance that the seed will drop. You may find it after breaking 5 or 10. You may be unlucky like me, like I was with this blood cap spore. I broke over 100 of them to get the seed. It was literally down to like my last few that I had left, and I knew it even existed that I visited so far, and I got lucky and got it. And you're going to need these because you can see I need the petals, 200 of them, to do my final farmer's bench upgrade. And to make them, you need the shards, which is why I told you to get the shards. And then, like I said, some of these are used to make your different potions. The blood is used to make health potions. The storm is used to make stamina potions. And the azure will be used, I'm assuming, to make mana potions in the future when mana is actually a thing in the game. Also, you may think that the stamina potions would not be important right now because of how stamina works. They're actually really not very important. I suspect they'll be important in the future, so you're going to want to have access to this. So let's start with the blood family. First, the blood leaf. You can find these honestly in a lot of different areas around the world. They exist in a lot of areas inside of zone 1 and a lot of areas inside of zone 2, and I've seen them in a lot of areas around zone 3. Honestly, I don't need to tell you too many specific places to look for them. Just keep your eyes open, especially, and this is going to be true of all of them, all of these glow. So if you look for them at night, 10 times easier to find than looking for them during the day. But the blood leaves can be found in a lot of different areas around your world. I can think of, for example, inside of zone 3, the Whisperfrost frontiers, they could be found growing on these like pillars of rocks that also have some ores and stuff in them. That's a common place I've seen them. I've seen them in a lot of forests that exist inside of zone 1, and I've seen them in a few of the different biomes inside of zone 2 as well. So keep a lookout. They're fairly common. The blood cap spores, they can be found commonly inside of zone 1 in the red and orange leafed forests. They're kind of uncommon there, but if you run a grid pattern through, you will find several of them. Those biomes are not super big, but you'll find a few there. The place where you're going to find it the most is going to be the tar pits inside of zone 2. The tar pits are the darker colored areas on the map, like the red sand, and they're going to have the like quicksand, tar type areas, and it's like almost muddy looking, and usually there's going to be a lot of bones around. You can actually find them in pretty decent quantities there. That's the biggest place you're going to want to look. The blood roses, these guys were a little bit harder for me. They're just little red roses. They're not that hard to miss once you know what they look like. And they're scattered all around zone 1. And they're in zone 4, the devastated lands. Those forests that are on fire, like they have the burning trees, go into zone 4, go to the burning forests. You will find them there as well. That's the main biome I found them in a concentrated area. And then, like I said, scattered throughout zone 1. Next on our list is the storm family. So first, the storm thistle. This you can find in zone 3, the Whisperfrost Frontiers. I saw them pretty regularly in the mountains there. So that's the best place, and honestly, the only place I know to look for them. In my experience though, there's at least 2 places that most of these things exist. So there's probably somewhere else I don't know about, but the mountains of zone 3 are a good place to look for them. They're randomly scattered throughout. I didn't have any trouble getting the seed. It was actually like maybe the second seed that I found. The other 2, the storm cap spores and the storm saplings, these 2 are found inside of zone 2. In the Howling Sands zone, you're going to want to go to the plateaus. They're the kind of green, tall, mountainy areas. I found them all over the place here. I had zero problem getting a whole lot of them, breaking them and getting my seeds. I do not know if they exist somewhere else, because I personally didn't have to look anywhere else. I had a lot of plateaus around. They were all over the place. It wasn't that bad. There may be other places. If you know them, drop them down in the comments below. And the last one is the Azure family. 2 of these are easy. One of them is the biggest pain in the butt you're ever going to experience. The main place you're going to find these are going to be the Azure forest, especially the Azure kelp. You find a pretty decent amount of it inside of any water in the Azure forest. If there's a river going through it, there's a bunch of little ponds inside of the Azure forest. You will find the kelp in the water there. Also though, if you go to zone 2, there's an oasis biome in that zone. A bunch of the Azure kelp is in the water there too. You could pick a lot of it. It should be one of the easier ones to get. Next is the Azure cap mushroom. It's like the blue mushroom looking guy. This one is the one I'm the foggiest on. So excuse me if I don't know the best place for it. Again, comment down below and read through the comments to see if anybody comments any better. But I'm pretty sure those were inside of the Azure forest as well. So you should see them scattered around the Azure forest. Pick all the ones that you find and break them. And then you should be able to get the seed recipe for that. And then the last one, the Azure fern. This was the hard one. We went on a long goose chase to try to find this guy. And I only know of one place that it appears. So if you know of a place other than this, please comment below and let everybody in chat know, including myself. The only place I found it was the savanna biomes in zone 2. The savanna biomes are the like tannish green color, and the green color inside of zone 2, that is not the plateaus. There are often small bodies of water going through. Look in and beside the water. You will sometimes see them there. They are not very common here, but it's actually the second only place that I know to look. There is one other place actually I know to look. It is also inside of zone 2. And that is going to be any body of water in a zone. Now, I didn't see it inside of the oasis body of water. So if you find an oasis, you can look there. I don't think they're there, but I have seen other like small like ponds / lakes inside of zone 2. If you see one on your map, go check it, because if you're lucky, you will find a few there. That's where I actually would find like the biggest grouping of them, and ultimately how I ended up getting the seed for that. Again, I don't know of anywhere else to go for them. It was actually so bad I had to go and find a whole nother zone 2 just to find that and the bloodcap mushroom. So be on the lookout for it anytime you're traveling around. If you see them in another zone, you're going to want to get it, and you comment down below and let me know where you found it. Okay, after that big one, I have another one that's kind of important. Now, I'm not going to go over every location to get this because I actually recently did a video on it, but it's ores. If you want to know where to find them, go find my ores video. I detail where to find all the different ores. But my point here is copper and iron. You'll want to grab a lot, any of it you find early on, but you end up getting a lot of it as you go. And copper, I haven't found much of a use for in the late game. Iron definitely has some use. So you're probably going to want to stockpile a decent amount of both of those, especially the iron. But more so, you're going to cross randomly all over your map. Thorium, which is the green ore, cobalt, which is the blue ore. When you see them, it's probably smart to grab them because the armor weapons, they're pretty expensive. There are upgrade recipes that require them. They're pretty expensive. And the way that your tools and your armor and your weapons work is as you wear down your durability on them, you can repair them with a repair kit. But every time you repair your gear, you lose 10% of your maximum durability. So after like 4, 5, 6 repairs, 6, 7, you don't have a lot of durability on your stuff anymore, and you're going to need to replace it. So you're going to want to have a decent amount of all of these ores to be able to do that. The adamantite, you're really not going to see anywhere other than zone 4. So if you go to zone 4, keep a lookout for adamantite. It's actually, I learned a little trick to find it. If you zoom in all the way on your map and you look for a bright red dot, there's going to be red dots in different areas, but it's, I think, the brightest of the red dots. That is usually going to be adamantite. So you'll want to go to that dot and you'll want to grab it. Also, gold and silver, there's not really a lot of uses for them yet, but I imagine there's going to be. So whenever you have a chance to get gold or silver, get them. They're likely going to be used for magic in the game in some way when the magic system gets fully implemented. So you're going to want to grab them whenever you have the chance. And then lastly, for the ores, there are some really rare like minerals, things like diamonds, emeralds, I think rubies. I've never found a ruby, but I've heard that I've never found a diamond either. But people have found these things in various places and they seem to be extremely rare. So I imagine that being as rare as they are, they're probably pretty important. So if you see an ore, especially if it's one you don't know what the heck it is, when you see it, you probably want to go break it. And then if it's one of those, especially, make sure you keep tabs on it. The next one I have is a less obvious one, I think, but I think is really important. You're going to want to grab every new wood from every new tree that you find. There are new trees all over the place. This game has more trees than I probably even know of. I've even been laying them out in this grid on the ground. Every time I find a new tree type, I found 25 different trees. Some of them are actually even used in upgrade recipes for the farming bench, maybe some other stuff too. I think you might need some specific types of tree, but my recommendation is this: every time you think you might see a new tree, go ahead and try to get about 100 of its wood because you're going to want to have it. Also, there's not ways to renew these trees at this time for the most part. There's about, I think, 8 or 9 different sapling recipes in the farming bench, and that's it for now. But I do believe they're going to add more saplings for each tree to the farming bench in the future. And it's possible they might require you to use the log of the tree as part of the recipe to make the sapling. So if that's the case, you're going to want to grab these in advance. Like I said, I found 25 of them so far. There might be even more than that. I'm not quite sure. Keep on the lookout because they are hidden in some of the craziest places. And some of them are very, very, very rare. And last but not least, I'll end with this note right here. Anything else that seems rare, maybe I'm forgetting some things, it's possible that I am, you probably want to grab it. Because even if it doesn't have a use today, the game's in early access and there's a lot of things in the game that are still missing. So things that don't have a use or don't have much of a use today will probably have a lot of a use in a week from now, a month from now, 6 months from now. So all of the things I've mentioned already, or things that I have forgotten to mention that don't seem like you can very easily, commonly find them, start hoarding it because you never know when you are going to need that item to progress in the game, and you don't want to kick yourself in the butt because you've passed it a million times and now you have to go hunt it out. And of course, we all know that whenever you have to actually go look for it, it's nowhere to be seen. If you enjoyed today's video, I hope you did. Please leave a like, let YouTube know, hey, I like this video, show it to more people, share it around. There's a lot of people that could probably use this information. I would love to spread it around to everybody. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss these videos. You don't miss my live streams. I'm live every day, Monday through Friday. And catch me on Twitch at Prowl8413 as well. At least drop me a follow there, even if you just want to watch on YouTube. And make sure you use code Prowl8413 if you buy Hytale, if you suggest Hytale to a friend, or you buy anything from the various servers that are going to exist inside of Hytale. My time inside of Hytale and with the community has been great so far, and I can't wait to see what comes next. But it's time for me to hightail it out of here. I'll see you next time in Orbis. Goodbye.